Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this Yashaswini and Idol series 72. And I'm very happy to address this 72nd series of Yashaswini and Idol inclusivity, diversity, outstanding performance, and leadership qualities. Watch all CA female members have. Friends, today we have very renowned speakers, CA Priyanka Pala, who is taking us through RRR, that is risk regulation and reporting in 360 degrees insights on the bank audit. She is having a vast experience in the audits, and now she is working with HDFC Bank. And welcome, Priyanka, to take the session on this bank audits, regulatory and reporting requirements. We have then with us CA Hema Jain, who will be taking us through this captive positivity and rewire your mind. So, friends, we think that technical topics, along with certain other topics like on leadership, because as a female, there are a lot of other things also other than the professional. We have to take it up, and because of that, there are certain within limited time we have to take care of not only our office but also our home, our parents, our children, and that is why a lot of sometimes a lot of mental stress, and this kind of sessions like if we take up, it will really relieve our stress, bring the positivity, and that's why we generally keep one of such session for about 45 minutes so that everyone is really refreshed in this season of all the compliances, regulatory requirements, and the due dates. At present, we have a due date on 15th of September for income tax return filing, and then followed by immediately we have a due date for tax audits. We are receiving lot of requests for extending the due dates for tax audits. We are in talk with CBDT to really extend, because we get very limited time, and in between that Navratri and all the Shira and all seasons festivities are there. So we are continuously in touch since last couple of months with CBDT for extension of the date of tax audit also. So informally we have like they are said ki, okay, let us see first this 15th September, let us go on, and then they may in the extend also. So these are the update on the direct tax extension, because I am receiving a lot of calls for extension of this due date for tax audit. As regards to see, these are the extension. However, when we do the audits, bank audits, we also have very stringent due dates. And friends, as all of you are aware, day by day the importance, or maybe nowadays all the foreign banks have one statutory auditor across for the bank audits. Even though the nationalized bank has about for their 74% of the branch auditors also. But then also RBI every year speaks about that, why the so many branches audits are required, because a lot of things are being now centralized. It's like centralized opening of accounts is also centralized. Credit like loans, housing loan or business loan processing is also centralized. So a lot of things are becoming centralized, and why then bank branch audits are required even in nationalized bank also. That is always a question of the Reserve Bank of India. Whenever every year we approach them for allotment of the bank branch audits. So now, because of that, day by day, the importance of concurrent audits is increasing, and that is why we are percolating that there are a lot of opportunities in the concurrent audits of bank, and whether this regulatory requirements, internal audits of banks, then centralized audits, they give KYC audits, then regional office at regional level, zonal level, there are loan reviews. So these audits, different types of audits are also been now allotted to the chartered accountants. So because of that, now the importance of this regulatory requirement, internal audits, concurrent audits, audits other than statutory audits have become more and more important. And a lot of women members I have seen are actually have keen interest and actually doing this kind of bank audits also. So because of that, we felt that let us have this kind of session which will be very useful to the members. And we have 500 plus women members are already joined. And I'm happy that Priyanka is taking through that session. As regards to our other initiatives, friends, tomorrow we have this Women and Young Members Excellence Committee meeting also. And we are proposing a very good program, a national level conference again at Mumbai, like last year we had. And we are proposing that on 8th of November. So please block your calendar, because last time we had to close the registration much like 7 days prior to the date of conference. This time we are planning a bigger venue having a capacity of about 3,000 female members, and we want the female members across India can be planned, can be there over here in this conference, and even female members across world global level also can be have over here as a speaker and the participants. It will be have a very good networking opportunity for everyone to be the part of this conference. So block your calendar for 8th of November, Saturday. It's the second Saturday at Mumbai. Will be coming out very soon with the details. However, the registration will be limited up to say 3,000 members only. So please block your calendar, and as soon as we announce it, ensure that you are becoming a part of this a very one of the biggest conference so far in the life of ICAI. We will be again coming out with our third round of awards, CA Women Excellence Awards, and we'll be announcing maybe next month. The nominations will be open. Again, this will have a awards this year. Again, 6 awards. So category 6 categories we have fixed since last year. So please come forward and nominate yourself for this awards also. And we'll be taking up this award ceremony in the month of January end, and be part of this historical events, women conference, and nominate yourself for CA Women Excellence Awards. With these words, friends, I welcome all of you to this 72nd webinar, Yashaswini and Idol. This is a platform for all my women members to come as a speaker, as a moderator, and as a part of a knowledge gainer. And it's my endeavor to serve the best to the women fraternity of our Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. Feel free to connect to me at any point of time for any support required. And with these words, I once again welcome all of you, and over to the moderators. We have 4 moderators, Sonia Rai, Amruta Joshi, Simran Surana, and Sonal Tamse. I also welcome the moderators and all the participants. Over to moderator.
Thank you so much, Preeti ma'am. That was indeed a really good start to our today's session. And thank you for the incredible body of work that you're doing for us women CAs and the young members. So thank you so much. I would now like to take this opportunity to introduce our first speaker for the day, CA Priyanka Pala. CA Priyanka Pala is a distinguished chartered accountant with extensive expertise in assurance, compliance, and audits across BFSI and diverse industries. An academic topper and an award-winning professional, she has been recognized for her contributions in statutory and thematic audits, regulatory reviews, and strategic banking projects. She's passionate about knowledge sharing and professional excellence, consistently delivering high-quality work and inspiring others in the field. Welcome, CA Priyanka Pala. Over to you now.
First of all, I would like to thank the Institute for such great initiatives, especially for the women fraternity, women members. I would like to thank the Institute for giving me this opportunity to take up this session at a larger forum. And a big thanks to all the participants and appreciation for showing up for the today's session. So, to begin with, our today's session, I hope my screen is visible.
Yes, ma'am, visible.
Okay, okay. So, to begin with today's session, it is revolving around this 3R: risk, regulation, reporting. So, in the forthcoming topic, we will get to know that how these 3Rs are correlated and interlinked when it comes to the banking audits, how each and every area has these three facets. This is a gist and an overview on what topics we are going to cover, the technical topics that will be forming part of today's webinar. Before I begin with the actual topic, I would like to take a minute to pause here and define what audit means to me all about throughout my half a decade of the journey as being a professional. For me, A stands for accounting and more. We are all a new gen auditors, right? So for us, it's more than just traditional accounting. As an auditor, we have to look beyond the auditing rules, auditing entries, and we have to look at the reporting regulation and our auditable unit, how it performs in an overall facet. U stands for uniqueness. We have to get away with the traditional ways of auditing and move into the AI driven and more technically driven audits. So, U stands for uniqueness. We have to bring out different practices, different validation, verification aspects while we perform an audit. So each unit, each auditable entity will be different in its own way. That's how U stands for uniqueness. D stands for diligence. As an auditor, we own a lot bigger responsibility. We have to be diligent in our work. We have to be diligent in our profession. I stands for independence because auditor is all that about. We are an independent person, independent professional. So we have to hold utmost independence while we perform our duties. And T stands for timely plan and execution. A audit well planned is well executed and reported. So that's the definition of audit for me. Moving on to the first R of the today's topic, which is risk. Now we all wonder, what is risk-based auditing? Risk-based auditing revolves around all the types of risk that would be identified for a particular entity, for a particular area in that specific organization. When we plan our audits, when we execute our audit, if it is risk driven, it is more effective, more efficient, more probabilities of finding the lapses at a process level and not just account level. So we have to move towards planning our audits with risk factor in it. As we all are aware about the caption or the statement, auditors have to play a role of a watchdog and not a bloodhound. That's truly correct. We don't have to be keep on finding for any fraudulent issues, or we have to do an audit with an intention that yes, there will be some fraud. But of course, we have to take into consideration the type and the nature and the extent of risk which an auditable area would be covering across. The next R stands for regulatory framework. As we are talking about the banking audit, these are all the regulations and many more than this which regulates our audit. So we have to take into consideration all the regulatory guidelines, directions, circulars, etc., and plan and perform our audit accordingly. And the another framework that we have to duly comply with are the standards on auditing, be it a bank audit or a non-bank audit. SA stands like a pillar for any auditor. So that I consider as one of the aspect in the second R, which is regulation. And the third R stands for reporting framework. As an auditor, we are bound to report to numerous stakeholders across different areas, starting off with our quarterly and annual audits. Second, reporting would come with our interactions with the management and TCWG, those charged with governance. Third is the reporting to regulator, that is our interaction communication with the RBI SSM. I will take this specific topic in the later slides. Fourth is the annual certifications. As in statutory bank auditors, we are bound to issue certain annual certification across different areas such as PSL, CFR, etc. That also forms part as one of the reporting framework. Next is the LFER, one of the biggest reporting aspect for an statutory auditor. So our work doesn't just end on the quarterly or the annual audit. The outcome of it has to go in a long form audit report to the RBI. And the next facet on reporting is between the branch and central auditors, which comes in the picture in case of the PSU banks. While we plan an audit, these are my targets, these are my audit assumptions which I have to keep in mind for any area, be it an advance, be it a deposit, be it any treasury operations, etc. And the roadmap to achieve these assertions, to target these assumptions, are my audit procedures. So this audit procedures, we will definitely look into it area by area, how all this get covered, be it an advance deposit, treasury, be it IFC reporting, etc. This is an overview of the areas that any bank auditor has to cover up. I have specifically highlighted the exclusions in the today's discussion. So we have an interaction and discussion across the inclusive part. Coming to the first part of my verification or my bank audit is the advances, Schedule 9. I have broken verification of advances into different facets. One is life cycle based. So when we perform the audit of the advances, we have to look into what is the life cycle of an entire loan, straight from its onboarding to its closure. We can see there are numerous stages through which a loan gets into. As an auditor, we have to look into the process, how the customers are onboarded. We are all well aware that the banks are coming up with a lot many techniques and procedures and digital initiatives to onboard the customers. It has gone away with the traditional manual onboarding process which happens at any branch. So as an auditor, we have to take into consideration those digital platforms, digital initiatives. The second most important stage is the underwriting part, the sanctioning part, which is my crux. In any advance, if we have to audit any advance, we have to look into how the underwriting, how the sanctioning has been done. What are the eligibility parameters? What are the critical deviations basis which the advance has been given to a particular customer? So we have numerous types of advances, numerous types of loans which are given by the bank to the customer. Be it a personal loan which is a completely unsecured, to my home loans which are a completely secured loan. Each product, each loan will have different features, will have different way of sanctioning. Accordingly, we have to adjust our auditing procedures to fit into that particular loan product. We cannot apply a straightforward checklist across all the loan products. We have to design our audit plan, design our audit execution, which will fit the best to the loan product. We have to take into consideration what are the underwriting rules, what are the different scoring models. Banks are nowadays using AI driven scoring models, basis which they identify what score has to be given to Priyanka, what has to be given to Mr. A, Mr. Y. Accordingly, the eligibility will be defined. So we have to get into the integrity and understand that how the sanctioning happens at the bank's end. This can be achieved by a thorough understanding, by a thorough walkthrough of that entire underwriting process, end to end, understanding which teams are involved, which systems are involved, which processes are involved. And then we accordingly plan out how we have to scope and scope out any particular products depending on the materiality of the same, its contribution to the entire Schedule 9. Another mandatory checks like CRILIC and CFR, centralized fraud reporting. These checks can also be performed as part of our sample testing, which we do for the advances. The next point is on the disbursement. Once the underwriting is done, we move on to the next stage in the life cycle, which is disbursement. There could be certain lapses at the bank's end when it comes to disbursement process. Either it's a double disbursement done, it's an incorrect disbursement done due to some control lapses. There could be n number of issues that could arrive at. So we have to understand the entire disbursement process, where which are the accounts which are involved in this disbursing of loan, whether it hits directly the customer's account or whether it is parked in any intermediary account and then passed on to the customer. We have to look into all these facets. Each bank will have a different process, different idea of how they design their entire loan life cycle. As I mentioned earlier, our sample selection criteria plays a very important role in advances because, as I mentioned earlier, each loan product is different in its own features. Accordingly, we'll have to design our sample testing methodology, because if the methodology is gone wrong at the inception, it might lead to an inconclusive opinion or inconclusive audit wherein we are unable to conclude our level of comfort on the schedule 9. The next stage comes once the customer is onboarded, sanctioning done, disbursement done. Then comes the interest fee and other charges. Basically, we are moving on to the P&L part, the Schedule 14 part, wherein and the Schedule 13, wherein interest is charged on each EMI due, be it a term loan or a CCOD facility. Depending on the type of facility, the interest charging cycle will differ. We have to understand how system plays a role, how the accounting is done. Here we have to get into what's getting debited, credited, how the entries are getting affected too. We have to see that what are the different types of fees and charges collected across the different products, whether those are fairly disclosed to the customer, whether those are being master driven, or is it a manual process, automated process, semi manual process, etc. When we talk about the loan products, we have a broad classification of secured and unsecured loans. Security valuation will come into picture when we talk about the secured loans like home loan or business loan, which are secured by any properties. We have to get into how the valuation is done. What is the property value? What is the asset value that has been taken into consideration by the underwriting team? The next stage in the life cycle of a loan comes the review renewal. This is typically for my CCOD facility, wherein a facility is time bound. It is for a period of 12 months, and on expiry of 12 months, it is reviewed and renewed depending on the customer's eligibility. Here we have to also sample out not only the new disbursed cases but the review renewal cases as well, to understand that if the loan is continuing its tenure, whether the customer was eligible for the same limit, say 10 lakhs was initially sanctioned, after expiry of 12 months, whether the customer's footing stands strong, whether he is eligible for 15 lakhs, if so, it has been sanctioned. If not, whether the limit has been reduced accordingly. So it could be a limit enhancement, limit kept same, or a limit reduction. We have to sample out the cases accordingly. We have to understand what are the process of regular monitoring and oversight which the bank's internal team does, how they are monitoring, keeping an oversight on the overall performance of the loans. It doesn't play a role directly at the NPA stage, but it has to be continuously monitored from day one, from DPD 0, DPD 1. It has to be bucketed accordingly, and it has to be monitored by the respective team. We have to take a comfort that on what basis the monitoring is done, on what basis, what controls the loans are being reviewed at on a frequent basis, on a monthly, quarterly, annual basis, etc. Then we talk about the manual interventions or exceptional entries. We have to see that throughout our audit process, throughout our audit period, are there any cases of manual intervention or any exceptional entries which have been triggered into the loan accounts of any specific customer or any specific loan portfolio. And the next stage comes is the closure of the loan. As much as it is important to audit the new disbursements, the new loans or the outstanding portfolio, it is also important to audit a small piece of loan closure accounts in our sample testing. We have to see that how the loans are getting processed, how the loans closure is getting processed. Is it a premature closure? My testing parameters, my testing attributes will change. Is it a tenure based closure? My testing attributes will change. If it's a premature, there will be a factor of penal charge, that prepayment charge that will be levied. So according to the process, the procedure, my testing attributes will change. So this was a generic stage or depiction of how a loan moves starting from my onboarding to my closure stage. Then we have a separate section to categorize this life cycle of a loan across different segments, which is SME accounts, which is my before 90 DPD bucket accounts. How the monitoring is done. We have to sample out those cases, understand what has gone wrong, why it is in DPDs. If those are genuine cases, or what is it a borrower specific issue. Then comes my IRAC norm, the very, very, very critical and very important parameter when we talk about Schedule 9 advances. We have to specifically do sample testing on the NPA accounts, be it NPA upgrade accounts, NPA upgrade, NPA addition accounts. What has been the security valuation process across my NPA accounts? We have to look into all these aspects. We have to take into account the RBI master direction on IRAC norms. We have to separately do our testing on the NPA process, which systems are involved, whether it is automated. Yes, 90% of the banks will have an automated NPA system. Some portion there might be instances of manual intervention, depending on the instances. We have to look into those cases. Then we have category of OTS, one time settlement cases. We can do a reverse check in such kind of loans, whether this one time settlement was due to any underwriting decision gone wrong. This could lead to a conclusion that it might be a business as usual case, or more deviations taken in a particular loan account while sanctioning it. Say Priyanka, she wanted a business loan but was not on a great footings, or didn't have proper documentation, or say the vintage of the business was low and the underwriting team took a lot of deviations at a higher level authority and sanctioned the case. Later on, Priyanka turned out to be a 12-month on board NPA case. Within a year, Priyanka defaulted and turned out to be a bad loan. So these are the cases we can do a reverse check. We have to look into the framework of early warning signal, which is driven by the RBI direction. We have to look into the framework for the borrower and the financial difficulty. We have to look into the evergreening of the loans, how it can be targeted and how it can be identified. So in the two earlier slides, we spoke about the entire life cycle of the advances, starting from onboarding to the different stages after closure, before closure. Now we look into the special aspects of the advances. Digital lending. As I mentioned, banks are coming up with a lot of AI-driven scoring models with different platforms, initiatives. So we have to accordingly adjust our audit procedures to make the best fitment for digital lending. There is a specific RBI guideline on digital lending platforms. We have to take into consideration more AI driven norms, more AI driven techniques to cater such kind of loans, because manual intervention is the least or next to nil in such kind of lending. It is a completely automated process. Accordingly, there are chances of control failure. There are chances of any system override in such cases of digital lending. So we have to accordingly test, understand this process, and accordingly sample out the cases. Priority sector lending, a completely different master circular on how the advances are categorized into PSL, non-PSL. Testing, sample testing of the same, testing of the master circular can be taken into account while we do the Schedule 9 verification. We also have to report, as we talked about earlier, there is a separate annual certification that goes to the RBI on the PSL lending, on the PSL target achievement. So we can accordingly plan our audit, take into consideration these critical aspects in our quarterly audits and in the annual audit. The next section is on the interest subvention. We all are aware about different schemes the government bring into to encourage lending to the priority sectors, to the backward sectors. For the same, the banks are given subventions by the government. For that, we have to sample out these cases. We have to understand what are the system controls, systems involved, because banks have to submit on quarterly and annual basis interest subsidy claims, which are to be certified by the statutory auditor. So for this certification, we definitely have to look into how is the charging system for the interest, how is the validation process, onboarding process. All that aspects have to be looked into, and then it can be certified. These are few of the regulations, the critical ones which are thought to just present, which are related to the advances. Now coming to the issues which are generally noted in the verification of advances. IRECNOM is one of the biggest area where, depending on the bank, depending on the entity, the issues, the cases might differ. But what are the common instances, common issues that have been highlighted across? That the bank's NPS system is not working on the holidays or non-working days. Though it's a completely automated system, however, it takes a halt on a particular holiday or a non-working day. So there is a lag of say 1 day, 2 day in reporting my DPDs. So we have to look into our bank's system, how it has been performing, whether it is considering 365 days or which days it is not categorizing the particular loans, and accordingly the reporting impact. The next common issue is on the manual interventions. Depending, it could be a portfolio driven or a specific account driven. All we have to see is whether it has been done within the framework of the board approved policy, the RBI guideline on manual intervention, whether the override is justified or is it intentional. We have to look into that aspect. Common borrower and co-borrower tagging. There had been a lot of heated debate going on in past 1 or 2 years time a particular loan, the linkage loans, that is the co-borrower and common borrower accounts as NPA. Some of the banks have started as a proactive initiative to tag the common borrower and co-borrowers as NPA. Example, Priyanka having a personal loan, also having a credit card and auto loan, but she defaulted in a personal loan EMI repayment. So obviously, as a primary account, a personal loan will be categorized as NPA, but as a linkages, Priyanka also has credit cards, also has auto loan. Those will also be tagged as NPA. Plus, if I have a home loan in which my spouse is a co-applicant, even my spouse will get tagged as an NPA. So that's to the extent the tagging of NPA has gone into revision. The next common challenge faced is on the PAN based identification. This has been something in talk in last 1 2 years, that to classify the loan accounts, the advances of customers at a PAN level and not at the customer ID level. This kind of issue gets highlighted when Priyanka has taken a loan in an individual capacity as well as in a capacity of a proprietary firm, wherein the PAN number is the same but the identity is different. So the bank is treating both this loan as different entities, different customers. So that shouldn't be the issue. Priyanka as a whole at a PAN level should get classified as an NPA. What could be the issue in this implementation? If the wrong PAN is furnished by the borrower, it's basically the data sanity issue, the garbage in, garbage out concept. If at initiation, at onboarding, Priyanka's PAN number is incorrect, obviously the later linkages will be incorrect. She wouldn't be classified correctly as an NPA. Another issue which gets highlighted in terms of IRAC norm is in the securitization portfolio. Basically, the bought out portfolio from the originator NBFCs, in which they had a practice to share the details on a monthly basis. So there was a delay in classifying such accounts, such portfolio as NPA. The another section of issues noted was in the OTS account. Whether how to tag the bought out portfolio as OTS. The ones which are with the bank, they can be easily categorized. But what about the bought out portfolio? What is the reconciliation process at the bank's end to trigger such cases? What is the bank's practice to provision for the sacrifice amount? When it's an OTS, definitely there is some sacrifice which the bank will make. So what is the proactive process of a bank? Some might do a provision at the initiation of the OTS. Say 1 lakh was the sacrifice amount, entire 1 lakh gets provided for at day one, or it could be done on the last day of the settlement when the loan account gets settled. Security valuation. So for basically for the retail portfolio, the products are different. The nature of the asset is different. So there might be different methodologies basis which the security value is assessed. We have to see at what frequency it is getting updated in the systems, at what frequency it is being getting reviewed. One of the common issue identified is in the case of immovable properties, where IRAC norm clearly mentions that it has to be the valuation has to be done once in 3 years. However, some banks have a practice to adopt dual model, say up to a limit of value of the loan. It will be done on a valuation report basis. An independent valuer will give a value, or it can be done at a Residex model. Residex is just like my Sensex index. It's for the properties that at what index value the properties has to be multiplied at. Few other issues in the area of credit review or verification across the loans and credit card portfolio is with respect to ensure that functioning of system is the retail fresh exposures are not getting disbursed to the existing NP accounts. So basically the link portfolio existing customers who are NPA, they shouldn't be given any new loan. Even the technically written off customer shouldn't be given any new exposure. There has to be a cooling period. The next point is on the system-based process. So banks generally have a system called as Perfios, which they use to calculate the average banking balance and for the financial statement related inputs. So we as an auditor have to see the functionality of this particular system which is used in the underwriting process, how it is capturing the inputs, what is the accuracy at which the inputs are getting captured. The next common issue found out is the backdated updation of the credit limits in the core system. It can also lead to two different dates in the core banking system. One is the date on which the updation is done, and the second is the backdated date. It can have an impact on the IRAC classification. Another common issue found out is credit underwriters, PAN based, could have different ideologies, different practices, different understanding and interpretational issues. So when the centralized offices of the bank issue any kind of advisories, any kind of policies, it is upon the credit underwriting team to the central team to ensure that it is being consistently practiced across different units spread across the regions. We have noticed that due to the human factor involved, there are different interpretations which are done for a similar kind of issue. So we have to ensure the benchmarking when we perform the unit visits across pan India, different samples. We can benchmark that how the underwriting issues have been catered to, how a policy has been interpreted at. The next point is on the pre-approved models. As we talked about the scoring models, the AI scoring driven models. Since these are totally automated systems, we can take our help of the IT auditors within our firm. We can test certain models. We can test the accuracy of certain models by doing a pre-run, by doing a sample run for certain cases to ensure that the logic, if it is moving smoothly or not. We can do a benchmarking across different products, different scorecard models used. How is the effectiveness and reasonableness of the outcome? So we are done with the Schedule 9 advances part. Moving on to Schedule 3 deposits. What are the common issues which are noted in the verification? The first one is related to the implementation of the circular, the Depositors Education and Awareness Fund, DEF circular, in which one of the common issue I highlighted was that the certain banks were performing the classification of DEF account at a customer level. For example, Priyanka has 3 4 set of deposit accounts with ABC Bank. One of the account she has not used for last 10 years, but three other accounts she is continuously using into her business or personal professional life. However, the bank has classified all the four accounts eligible for DEF, which is a wrong practice. The RBI guidelines clearly define it has to be done at account by account level. So, in our present example, Priyanka's only one account has to be get transferred to DEF, three other accounts should remain active. In the area of interest on deposits, there could be certain system lapses, system issues, which can lead to incorrect interest being credited in the deposit accounts. So we have to look into the controls. What is the accounting control that is in place to ensure correct interest getting credited to the accounts. We shall cover the other areas, such as which are the popular areas, such as the reward points. We all are aware, we all use the debit and credit cards. We all earn reward points on different transactions. But as an auditor, what are the key points we should look into the same? We should look into the management assumptions when they do the provisioning for such reward points, since many of the banks have a practice to obtain actual reports to provision for the liability of reward points. Say for 31st March, what will be my liability on 100 crore points which are outstanding on my cards portfolio. So banks have different practice, different assumptions which they use. We have to review the reasonableness of the same. We have to take into account certain substantive testing of sample cases to ensure that only eligible customers, card holders, are getting reward points as per the policy or as per the program of the bank. We have seen instances where there were certain card frauds, there were certain malicious activities, which leads to erroneous earning of these points. So banks had a practice in last 1 year to break down or reduce the benefits which they were initially giving on the cards. So all this gives an indication that there have been something happening in the cards portfolio, in the cards profile. We have to accordingly sample out such cases. The next area is on the employee benefit, one of the expense area, one of the liability area which the bank has. We have to, again, this part has the actual valuation done. We have to look into the reasonableness and timely review, whether the management assumptions are getting fluctuated year on year, whether there is a consistency. Next point is on the CFS. What are the common issues that we face? Fit for consolidation, challenges in grouping certain specific accounts or specific items of the financial statements, how it has to be certain entities or group companies might have Ind AS, whereas the bank follows the AS. So, how that fitment has to be done. Uh, in certain cases, in case of associates, when there is a restriction on UPSI, how the reporting for a bank's quarterly reporting has to go, how much profit or how much loss they have to account for in their reporting requirement. The next area is on the MOC, which is Memorandum of Change. This will be taken care at the quarterly and annual reporting, wherein the finance team generally has a practice to accumulate the manual entries across different areas, across different schedules, to make a fitment of certain adjustments which the system might not take care of, or certain issues or certain rectification. This could be MOCs can be in nature of rectification or a business as usual entries. So as an auditor, we have to do some testing around the manual controls in place for this MOC, the right authorization, approval, documentation, whether this is a truly necessary MOC, is it prone to some errors? All this we have to take into consideration. Coming to the bigger chunk, the IFC, internal financial control. We have a separate reporting to be done as per Companies Act. IFC will have a waterfall across all the areas, all the segments of our bank audit, be it a Schedule 9 advances, Schedule 3 deposits, treasury, etc. So for IFC, what is an ideal way to go ahead with it? Not to do at a year end, but to break our IFC plan into quarterly reviews, do the sample testing and coverage of the risk control metrics across our different areas of quarterly audit, so that we accumulate a good amount of chunk of, say, points or any suggestions or recommendation and observations at the year end reporting. So that is my ideal plan to how to take ahead the IFC part. Special focus which can be done for the IFC areas are what is the scope and what is the coverage of the statutory audit observations when the IFC team designs and develops their RCM, whether in regulatory points, regulatory guidelines, any change in the internal process has been taken care of. There have been instances in which legacy RCMs are being followed by the respective departments. There is a lag in the flow of information from first line of defense to second line of defense. So we have to look into that how effective, how efficient their RCM is, how much level of reliance we can place across as a statutory auditor. Accordingly, we have to sample out the areas, sample out the key controls for our verification and cover the same. Coming to the next part, next segment of our financial statement, which is the disclosures, I've highlighted few areas in which there are common issues. For example, when we have to disclose extraordinary or exceptional item, how this particular items get assessed or gets impacted in materiality assessment for the next year. That's a very subjective call depending on the specific statutory auditor. The next is on the liquidity coverage ratio. There has been a special focus on how the financial institutions and non-financial institutions are getting classified. Whether it's a manual or a semi-manual or automated process to calculate the LCR. Certain banks have a daily, weekly LCR reporting within the systems itself. Certain have a monthly. So we have to see what is the level and extent of this reporting and the controls around it. The next chunk is the ALM, asset liability management. We have to see how is the maturity bucketing done for the fixed tenure items. How is the behavioral analysis done for the non-fixed term items like CCOD, demand deposit, credit cards, etc. There will be certain forward-looking, backward-looking assumptions which the management might use for the behavioral analysis. How they take care of the historical data. In case of new products, there won't be any historical trend. They have to percolate something from the existing items. All this needs to be taken care of at the time of validating ALM disclosure. Coming to the LFAR part, which is one of the critical reporting aspect as we. Hello. Is there certain disturbance in? Yeah. Continuing with the topic LFAR, what are the critical points we all should take care of at the time of preparation and reporting the LFAR format? Audit trail, it was much more in the talks in FY24 and FY25 that how the reporting has to be done for the same. What are the initial or critical points to note while we talk about the audit trail? Whether there is a board approved policy, whether there is any independent verification done by the management, how they are reporting it internally, any lapses in the audit trail. What are the expectations of nature of audit trail? It has to be maintained throughout the year, no functionality to disable the same at any given point in time. This validation, this verification can be done in conjunction with the help of our IT teams within the firm. The next part in the LFAR is the weakness in critical process. RBI had pointed out statutory auditors to report on any weakness which is found in the critical processes. Now, what are the critical processes? RBI had given an indicative list, but it might differ bank to bank. So, as a stat auditor, we have to look into how the bank's management has classified or identified the critical process. We have to do a benchmarking across whether one critical area has been missed out anywhere. Say, for example, NPA. This definitely cannot be scoped out as a critical area. This has definitely to be one of the critical process, critical area. Likewise, we have to see across what are the controls, what are the testing performed by the bank's management, by the bank's internal audit team, whether sustenance testing has been performed on all such weakness in critical process. That's the reporting which the statutory auditors are expected to do. Few other points which can be highlighted in the LFAR is on the implementation of any new circulars, how the bank has taken care of the compliance of any new RBI direction, whether any new practice or policy has been implemented, is there any material revision in the accounting estimate, any weakness in critical process which we talked in the earlier slide, any comment on the IT controls, previous audit observations, and any material event. Coming to the part of how we communicate with the audit committee and SSM. With audit committee, few critical points listed down here has to be communicated on quarterly and yearly basis. Ideally, our audit plan, our coverage, the joint auditor responsibility, clear demarcation of the areas that get allocated amongst the same. What are the audit procedures? What is the branch and the unit visit plan, which has to be accommodated throughout the year? What are the material events, any regulatory action, any significant observations, and any further recommendations? Coming to the communication with RBI SSM, ideally it is very dynamic communication. Like few of the RBSSM meetings that happens, it's very dynamic. It doesn't have a very fixed agenda. It depends on bank to bank, and RBSSM can pick up any area from any XYZ bank and can question it in ABC bank. So we have to be very thorough with what's happening in the industry, what's happening across the different peers, and we have to be updated and taking care of that any issues which are highlighted across the industry. Make sure that gets covered appropriately during our audit of our entity. This is a gist or a summary of different orders which have been passed, various disciplinary orders. This is more of from an proactive basis, that these are the lapses or the areas of lapses that have been identified, which can be taken care of when we plan the audit, when we execute the audit. Majorly on the documentation part, independence, related party, internal controls. There are a lot of big list of areas which we have to make sure that it gets taken care in our planning, in our execution. It is more of from a proactive step. Also, there are different orders which are passed on the banks, on the financial institutions. From that, we can take a learning that, okay, this is the area, this is a particular segment in which bank has faced some issue. We have to make sure we adequately cover that area in our audit. Moving on to the key developments. So we talk about the Banking Law Act. It came into effect on August 1. There were major changes in the areas of governance, depositor protection, audit quality, etc. Talking about the new digital credit assessment, it is related to automation of loan appraisal. Again, we earlier talked about it in the advances verification, how we have to make sure we also get our audit procedure digitized, which matches with the bank's process. Anti-mis-selling guidelines, it is still in a draft stage. Auditors might have to assess the areas of mis-selling, areas where there are third-party products involved. Fraud detection via FRI, fraud risk indicator. This is one such implementation. Banks have to monitor the transaction based on fraud risk indicators. As an auditor, we have to evaluate how is the control framework built upon, what is the review frequency, what are the issues the management would have identified. Moving on to the risk-based internal audit framework, RBI has specifically put emphasis on adoption of RBI framework. This forming part as for our first R, which is the risk. So our statutory audit also has to be built on the basis of risk. We have to identify the risk, potential risk in a particular area of audit, and accordingly plan our audit procedures. RBI's push on compliance automation. Even RBI is pushing across automation in various areas of the bank. AI-driven financial services. These were the key areas that were highlighted in the past governor's speech, majorly revolving around the vigilance regarding the interest of the customers and depositors, corporate governance, how is the quality of audit, how is the quality of the communication to ACB, etc. And that was it for for our session, wherein we covered the three R's, the three major R's regarding the banking audit, how it impacts the different areas, different facet of a bank audit, starting from Schedule 3 to Schedule 9, 10, 11, etc. So that was it how we can see how these 3 hours play a very important role in planning our audit, in executing our audit, and performing our audit and reporting the same. So thank you so much for your patient listening. We can go forward with any questions, any queries for this session.
Uh, Thank you so much for your neatly, I mean, a precise and neat explanation to what are the 3 R's that one has to look when considering a bank audit, from application to life cycle to sanction and everything. We do have one question where the uh, chartered accountant is asking what are the ways to identify NPAs which is not being identified by a bank.
Okay, so this can be done. So ideally, I think the issue can come in case of the co-borrower and common borrower aspect when we talked about the NPA identification. That's where the bank system can lag. So we have to drill out the entire dump. We have to take into account some help from our IT team to drill out to do some data massaging and identify whether all the linkages have been classified. Also, some analysis can be done on the SMA group of accounts, which is the below 90 DPD, whether Priyanka's account was consistently in SMA category across say 3 months, 4 months. Why she hasn't yet turned NPA? Ideally, the vintage is 90 days. So, if a account is consistently in SMA for 3 months, it should ideally get turned into NPA. But if there is something stopping it from becoming an NPA, any management override of the control, that all aspects can be taken care of.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for your time and a very knowledgeable session. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much to the moderators and to our wonderful audience for the patient listening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello everyone, this is CA Sonia Rai. I'll be introducing our next speaker, Hema Jain. Hema Jain is a chartered accountant with over 13 years of experience. She specializes in leveraging artificial intelligence to streamline financial processes, bridging traditional finance with emerging technologies. A creative thinker and poet, Hema combines precision, empathy, and vision, making her a truly captivating speaker. So, welcome, Hema, over to you.
Thank you, Sonia, for such a wonderful introduction. I hope I'm audible. Okay. Good afternoon,
Yes.
everyone. I would like to thank Preeti ma'am and Ravi sir for giving me an opportunity to present before all of you a captivating session on positivity. Okay, I'm going to get started now. I'll be sharing my screen. Okay. Is it visible? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, fine. Okay, captivate positivity. So my energy levels have to be high if the topic is positivity. Now it gives me a truly immense pleasure to present something. This is going to be my first webinar and I'm already presenting it to 500 plus chartered accountants, a very distinguished community, and I'm extremely happy about it. So what what does captivate mean? Why did I use the word captivate? If you would have seen the flyer, it says CA in capital and the rest of it is in small letters. Why? Because CA is for us chartered accountants, and by captivate we mean attracting or enchanting, which means CAs have the ability to attract and enchant whatever they want. Now, if they have the ability to attract and enchant whatever they want, why not attract positivity? So we are going to captivate a lot of positivity in this session. Before I start with the session, I think you can already see the next screen. I cannot see your chat at the moment, but I would want to know, on a scale of 1 to 10, how do you rate yourself on self talk during the peak period or work stress? We'll just give 10 or 15 seconds. Okay. Now, whatever answer you have chosen, you would have chosen X number, that reflects your mirror as to how positive you are. Because being positive in a session, if I tell you be positive, everyone is going to be positive. Not a problem. The speaker is asking, we are at least listening and implementing, okay, we can be positive. But the real test of positivity starts during your stress period or when things are not going your way. That becomes a highway. So the point here is, how are you going to create that mindset or shift your mindset to being a victim or just complaining to something like a person who will be able to achieve it. Moving further, now chartered accountants, we are not just CAs. We have we are more than CAs. So we are, some of us are entrepreneurs, some of you would be parents, teachers, employees, mentors, and so many other roles you are playing. So life has put us through different shoes right from the beginning of our journey. When we start with the course, we are in the first phase of articleship. So you go 1 year, 2 years. So in the first year, the expectation from you is different. When you move to the second year, it changes automatically and so on and so forth. What happens here is you step in into different shoes, you come out of it, then you move into another shoes. And surprisingly, you are almost always fitting well in all those shoes. That is what make us chartered accountants very special. We are able to fit into different kinds of shoes. We are flexible, we are agile, we have the ability to understand, and then we move forward. Even in the group of chartered accountants, we are not just thinking finance, audit, and taxation. We have multiple talents. So nowadays, when we go for offline seminars or anything, we see number of multi-talented chartered accountants. They have knack for singing, dancing, writing, reading, many other things. So we have the adaptability, we have the quality to adapt to various types of surroundings in diverse roles. Now, to think positive, one thing is needed. I am sure every one of you would agree, and that is nothing but motivation. Would you agree? Yes, no, I can't see, but you can still type in the chat box. You need motivation? Okay. So motivation is what? Motivation is desire or willingness to do something. It can be positive, it can be negative. Right? All right. So motivation are of two types. One is positive, internally motivated, and the second is externally motivated. Now, the one who are able to internally motivate themselves, what does that mean? They have the ability to convert their thoughts into emotions and emotions into thoughts, and both the ways they can do that. External motivation, what does it mean? The people who are externally motivated, it means that we rely on the external sources to tell us that we are doing good. Now, this external motivation takes various forms: promotions, recognitions, appreciations, etc. I don't say only internal motivation is something which everyone should be working towards. Internal motivation is good for your mental peace, but external motivation is equally important. We are humans, we are not that AI chatbot models where a formal thank you, we write a formal thank you and it says that pleasure to have such a compliment from you. We are humans, so we are designed in such a way that even if we feel internally motivated, we still need that tadka, I would say, of external motivation to move ahead. So you can see here, I've put some interesting images here for motivation. Can you see? I can't do it. You're just cutting the T and coming to I can do it. That is the shift. Now, when you're internally motivated, you are going to take the scissor and cut it yourself, that paper. But if you are externally motivated, you would need your mentor or your manager or anyone who is going to take that scissor and cut it for you, and then you move ahead. Moving on further, before we move to the science of positivity, We are chartered accountants into practice. Some of us are in industry. Some of us are homemakers, which is the most difficult path. We will first understand the science behind this positivity. Now, do you know human beings, they are the most intelligent species of living beings. And do you know why? Because of their ability to think, to understand, and to reciprocate. But a problem arises is humans are wired for survival. They are not wired for happiness. The moment you start understanding, the moment you are able to talk to people, you're able to understand life, you will be taught that you need to chase your dreams, you need to chase your ambition, you need to decide what needs to be done, you need to plan, and only then you will succeed. Being happy is never taught anywhere. Now, when we say so that being happy is not taught anywhere, we are still told. Now, this line you would have heard quite often. Pursue your passion. Pursuing your passion is very good, but passion alone can't pay your bills. If your passion is strong enough to support your basic needs, go for it. But if your passion is in the foundational stage, or it's not able to cover your basic necessities, build a foundation first in the form of a source of income which is at least bare minimum to cover your necessities, and then you can move ahead and pursue your passion. You have already seen, because I already spoilt it by clicking on the button. I would like to quote Three Idiots movie here. All of us have seen Three Idiots movie. The lead character, Amir Khan. What was he crazy about? What was his passion? Engineering, science. He didn't just study. Whatever he studied, he tried to implement it. He understood it, he tried to implement it. So it was his passion. It was a movie, so he succeeded and fared very well at whatever he was doing. However, throughout the movie, have you observed one particular thing which the movie tries to convey? We already have it on the screen. It says, all is well. So what is he trying to be? He's trying to be positive throughout throughout the movie, be it any situation. Good times, bad times, he's always telling his friends also, all is well. Which means, what does it teach us here? It teaches us to be positive in every situation. Now, by being positive in every situation, I don't say that you keep on chanting all is well, all is well, all is well, and expect miracles. No, it's fine that all is well. Okay. You can take this movie as a, you know, याद रखो कहीं तो back of the mind कि ऐसे कुछ था. And how to deal with your crisis or current situation? You need to acknowledge a particular problem, whatever it is, before coming to a conclusion or going into a panic mode. First acknowledge that something has gone wrong. Next step, try to deal with it. Don't go into the denial phase that I will not be able to do it, or everything is messed up now, nothing can be right or something. But try to understand. Next step is, try to break that problem. Is it solvable? Is it not solvable? If it is solvable, then we take out that branches. Can I do it myself, or I need help from someone? If I can do it myself, what are the steps A, B, C, D? We do it, tick, 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 and it is done. If I cannot do it myself, who is the next person in line I should get in touch with? For CAs in practice, it can be there fellow chartered accountants with whom they are in touch. For CAs in industry, it can be their own colleagues. Suppose that problem is not fixable. The damage is already done. You can't fix it. What next? Accept, apologize, find an alternative solution, and it is done. We don't need to drag it like a rubber band. It's fine. If it is not working, it's not working. We are humans. At the initial stage, even an AI chatbot is allowed to do errors. So come on, we are just human beings. We are prone to errors and it happens. But don't be in that situation or position where your thinking is blocked. Why does it get blocked? Because you already have that shield in front of you that I will not be able to do it. Something has gone wrong, and that negative emotion is moving around and round and round. It takes rounds. It's fine. Just take it and move ahead. Now, because we are accountants, we are using Excel sheets quite often. What does a macro does? If anyone can reply in the chat box, what does a macro do in an Excel if we have implemented a macro? It will reduce your work. It will make your life easy. Okay. It will simplify processes. And what happens if there's a bug in that macro and the file keeps crashing again and again? You do some work, after 15-20 minutes, again your system is stuck, that file is stuck, you close it, you reopen it, and then you do it. What happens here? You're doing rework? Yes, we are. So what do we do with our brain? It is similar to that Excel file. If you are inputting or if you're feeding your brain with positive thoughts or with a positive mindset, it is going to develop that macro which is going to simplify your life. However, if on that weighing scale the negative thoughts are higher or are dominant as compared to your positive thoughts, your file is going to crash. Your ability to think, your ability to solve problems is going to take a hit. That is the reason we say that we should captivate positivity. What do we call each one of us? So if I can see the names on my screen here, it says CA Amruta Joshi, CA Sonal Tamse, CA Sonia Rai. What is the prefix added? CA. CA Priyanka Palau, CA Hema Jain. So that is the prefix which is added before our name. We all of us know how important this prefix is. During our articleship days, we were told that you can ask n number of questions, you can do n number of mistakes, even if it was a foolish one. Our seniors, some of them were generous enough to say, okay, that this person is still learning. He will learn, he is an article or he is a trainee. He will learn and he will move out of it. But the moment this prefix comes before your name, you are a center of excellence. You already are a center of excellence. So I am sitting virtually in a center of excellence surrounded by so many chartered accountants. What happened? What do we mean by center of excellence? Because we are educated, we have been through the journey, we know what is it. What does a society expects from us? Now, any acquaintance of yours whom you know, if you go to a school or a park or in the market, and if you meet at least 1 out of 10 acquaintances you know is going to ask you if he or she is into business, 50,000 कैश निकाला तो चलेगा क्या? उतना अमाउंट का चेक दिया तो चलेगा क्या? ओके, आई वांट टू सेल दिस हाउस, कैन यू हेल्प मी, हाउ कैन आई सेव टैक्स? आप आईटी रिटर्न फाइल करते हो क्या? हैव यू गॉट सच क्वेश्चंस many a times? Even if you are a homemaker, you would have got this question. IT return file करते हो क्या? Or can you look into my finances? Can you guide me? Can you make me understand this particular provision? Has this happened with all of you? Okay. What is the society expecting here from you? Society knows that just because you are a CA, you know each and everything. And even if you don't know, we never say we don't know. If I'm into industry and someone is asking me about a GST amendment, I'm not going to tell him मुझे नहीं पता है. I will tell him I will check and I'll get back to you. Then I will consult my friend. I'll call my friend who is into practice and ask him or her, okay, this is this XYZ the thing is there. I've got a query. What should I reply? And then I will respond back to that person. But never ever has any CA told that मुझे नहीं मालूम, that I don't know and I'll not be able to answer your question. You can say that this is not my area of expertise. I'll refer you someone else when something is critical like transfer pricing or international taxation. But the very basic things which a layman is asking you, you cannot blindly tell them that you don't know. You find an answer, you fix it, and you get back to them, and their query is resolved. Now, many people would ask you, was CA easy? Was it an easy course? When people ask me, I say it was not an easy course, but C for consistent, A for action is what is needed when you decide to pursue that course. Consistent action along with discipline is needed in order to fare through this course. All of us are chartered accountants, so we have been consistently acting in our journey throughout, and that is the reason we are here. We are so good at consistency that we have cleared our exams, we are into our respective professions, and we are doing well. Now, if we know how important consistency is, how important it is, why can't we bring consistency to thinking positively? Do you agree? If you know that when you were a student, you would have decided, okay, I need to study 3 hours. I have planned it. 1, 2, 3, I'm going to do it. Out of those 300 days you're studying or 200 days you're studying, only 10 days would be something there where there would have been a personal emergency or your health was not good or something else where you did not adhere to your study plan. Otherwise, you have adhered to it. Then why are we not adhering to thinking positively? This is not the first session we are attending on motivation or on being positive. We all of us have attended many sessions. Mindfulness, thoughtfulness. On yoga day, we even if we are not doing yoga, we are still listening to the news channel that you should do XYZ things and it is going to impact your mental health. But still, here we are. The scale on the first slide we took 1 to 10, that score tells us where we are. And mind you, I am also not a very positive thinker. I would not say that I would rate myself 8 on that scale. No. But the change in mindset is needed. The change in mindset is necessary. When I was preparing for this session, I was like, okay, this can be done. I can implement it. When I read about it, okay, consistency, I thought it for myself, why can't I apply it consistently when I am doing it? So this is a message for all of you that you need to try being consistent. Start with one small thing and you need to apply it consistently for at least that week. If you have done that, you will feel okay, I've achieved something. So today we are on Wednesday. Till next Wednesday, decide for something that you are going to do to keep your mindset positive. And you see if something changes. And if we cross paths any day, tell me if something has changed. Okay. Moving ahead, we'll just move forward to the esteemed section of chartered accountants who are into practice. Let me be very clear. Practice is very tough. Setting up a practice is not a cakewalk. It's even more difficult than clearing your exams. Why? You need to build trust. You need to build your client base. You need to start small before you keep rising, rising, rising. Again, you need to have that positive mindset that your practice is going to grow and you are going to become a successful chartered accountant. When we interview individuals at our organization, we've come across many CAs who say that we started with practice. We thought we'll not be able to make it, so we have decided that we'll drop it and we will move to industry. I am not saying moving to industry is a bad thing, because I myself I belong to the industry. But here the context of me quoting this is developing a practice requires a lot of patience. It requires a heavy positive mindset in order to build that, because in your first year of practice you are not going to get 100 clients and you are going to do tax audits and finish it. It is going to develop gradually. So for CAs in practice, what is important? Building relationships. When I say building relationships, I also refer to building relationships with trust. Trust is not something like I tell you, okay, trust me, you need to trust me and you trust me blindly. It evolves slowly and steadily. Now, let's see what life of a CA in practice looks like. These images are not telling what it looks like. I couldn't find a relevant image to put it here, but I'm going to say it. There's an office. There are so many files which are stacked up. You will have 2 or 3 articles. I'm talking about a mid-sized firm, and there's a principal who is sitting. What is a CA in practice expected to do? Whenever his client calls, he needs to have answer to all his questions, whether it is a latest amendment or a circular, if the deadline has been postponed. I have seen cases where you get a notification now that the deadline was postponed. You are in a meeting or doing something and you get a call that, okay, deadline postponed. Okay, you say no. But then the client tells you, Arey, nahi, nahi, hua hai. We have read a notification. We read it on InShots that this happened. I think many of you would have experienced it, because I have experienced it when I worked for a chartered accountancy firm after my qualification. Boss gave us time to read, but clients are not going to understand that. If they are calling a CA, they want a confirmation. They want to confirm that a news which is giving a pop-up on Economic Times or ensures whether it is correct or not. And who is going to vouch for it? The chartered accountant who is in practice. He has to vouch for his clients. Now, when he receives a call, can he tell, okay, I need some time and I'll tell you, or what are you doing? Are you testing my knowledge? No, he can't be blunt and upfront to him. Why? Because he needs to build that relationship. If the client counters him also saying that this is what has happened, the CA is going to politely tell him that, okay, I'm in a meeting right now, I will check and I'll get back to you. What are we doing here? We are exercising calm. CALM, calm. Why are we exercising calm? Because we know that this client is important to us, or because customer is the king and we respect that particular person. Are we CAs implementing similar type of a calm in our personal lives or with your employees or articles? I don't say we treat them poorly, but at some point we do get irritated and we say that you should have checked it or you should have done that, or we tell them to redo and come back to us. It happens. It happens with all of us, whether it is in practice, whether we are in practice or in industry or a homemaker, it happens. So what needs to be done? You can't be calm all the time. That's okay. But you can do one thing. What is that? I'll come to this slide later. Let's complete something important. This is called as a 5-minute rule. Now, some of you would have read this book or the summary of this book, which is 5-minute rule. And why is this book used for? This is used for beating procrastination. If you don't want to delay a particular task or activity, commit yourself, you'll do it in 5 minutes and it is done. Can we not apply this 5 minute rule to taking care of our negative emotions? See, this is a very good invention. What you do when negative emotions are hovering around you, you take your mobile, sorry, you take your mobile, you set a timer for 5 minutes, give all your negative thoughts there, everything. Imagine the worst possible scenario if you must. And then after 5 minutes, after those 300 seconds, your alarm will ring. What does that mean? Time's up. You need to stop at that point in time to think negatively, not even a single minute after that. What is the next step after that? Acknowledge, which we already covered. Acknowledge what went wrong, or what is that particular trigger which is causing which is hampering your mindset, or which is causing you to feel so many negative emotions. Now, in many organizations, I would not name, but there are 5 minute meditation slots which are being organized twice a day. What do they do? They do some announcement or something where, okay, we will have a 5 minute meditation. So meditation, it doesn't mean that you need to sit in that posture, and but it only means that you are calming your mind with deep breathing, forgetting everything what happens, and again once that timer beeps up, you start continuing with your work. Now, if we start applying this, will it make a change? If we just put that 5 minute rule on a post-it and we stick it, we would refer to that sometimes. Okay, what does this 5 minute rule says? And try implementing that somewhere. Maybe it works. Now, in the tax audit season, especially for the people who are practicing, you are finalizing a particular set of financial statements. Balance sheet ties back, profit is, you are happy with the numbers. Cash flow is not telling. There is a difference. You have seen, you have checked the movement in balance sheets n number of times. You have checked the P&L account. You have checked the bank transactions. What do? You go for a tea break. Once you are back, 80 to 90% of the times you are able to fix that in 10 minutes. Do you agree? And you know what? ये तो सामने ही था, मिला नहीं. Has this happened with you? It was just in front of my eyes, but I couldn't see it. Why? Because there was that wall. You were tired. You were not able to think at your fullest capacity, which is why you were not able to see the solution which was exactly in front of you. That is what meditation or mindful breathing does. When you are in a state of calm, your ability to take decisions or your quality of work is top notch. Believe me, when you do deep work also, when you are fully concentrated, the output you deliver is top notch. Moving ahead. Now, before we move here, we'll move to this slide, the one which I left behind. Now, CAs in practice. Can you see there is a pencil and a sharpener on the screen? Now, there's a metaphor for this one. Pencil keeps complaining to the sharpener that you sharpen me and I feel hurt. You are not doing anything else but sharpening me. And the sharpener only says that only when I sharpen you, you write better. What does that mean? Any challenge which you encounter, any situation which you encounter, you're not able to handle, or which is putting you in a difficult situation, is an opportunity for you to grow. So instead of taking that particular thing negatively, we need to switch, or we need to captivate it towards positivity. I am not saying if there is an error, you say, okay, this is not an error and I'm positive. No, this is an error. how do I fix it? It has happened. How do I fix it? So acknowledgement is extremely essential. I am captivating acknowledgement of your fear here. You acknowledge it, accept it, and then move forward. Now over here, you will see that there is the happiness. I've prepared I have taken a diagram which says different types of happiness here. Material happiness is very important. We have heard people saying that it's better to cry in a Ferrari than on the streets. It's okay. But being positive is going to give you mental happiness. Just go back to the days, especially the esteemed senior members in this group, where tax audits have seen a lot of amendments, the season tax audit season, and you are left with 15 or 17 clients, sometimes 50 clients to finish that, and that is the last day to close the tax audit. But with proper planning, proper implementation, and following that proper route, going for feedback, providing guidance, and getting your team to work towards it, and completing it before 12 a.m., that has hit a different kind of happiness. Even when you share it with your juniors, you would tell that back in XYZ year we faced these problems and we still delivered it on time. अभी fees आएगा तभी आएगा, but that happiness is different level. Everyone is happy if you achieve that. So this is what we do. Material happiness is important, but your mental peace and happiness, or I would say calmness or ability to achieve it, is very important. I'm falling short of words. By that I mean कि मन को शांति मिलना बहुत जरूरी है. You would find me using some Hindi words here, but mental peace is equally important when you compare it to materialistic things. Now let's move ahead. Now what do you need to do when you are into practice? This can be applied across all of us, not just in practice, but I have just divided it. So resilience. What does resilience means? Your ability to bounce back. Now this I have heard of an example. I don't know that CA, but a CA who suffered a major setback because there was some error in his client filings, which led to penalties. What did he do? He owned that up. He cleansed it. He did whatever was necessary, and then that issue was resolved. Suppose you are fresh into practice and God forbid this happens with you. Are we going to run away? Are we going to say I quit from practice because I've done a blunder? No. We are going to take that, own that up, fix it, and solve it. Now, what did this CA do? He fixed it up, he solved it. What did this situation teach him? It told it guided him to build internal checks, strong internal checks, so that such type of errors would not be repeated in future. So what did he do? He did a root cause analysis to identify what needs to be done so he is able to fix. Now what this incident, what happened, what are the implications of this incident? First thing, he has earned the trust of the client because he owned up that mistake. So whenever that client is referring his CA somewhere, he is definitely going to make a mention one day or the other that no, this CA has the courage to own up the mistake and he fixed it, and I am free of any penalties or something, or he has taken care of it. Yeah. This quote, I liked it, so I put it. Plan in decades, think in years, work in months, live in days. So if you would have read autobiographies of Steve Jobs or Phil Knight, they had a vision in mind, a long-term vision from the very beginning, what they had to do. So by this quote, what do we mean? We mean by this, we mean that long-term perspective. Always think from a long-term perspective and don't let these short-term panic attacks hamper your long-term vision. In this case, where if resilience was not followed, and he told that you can look out for a different CA. Now this client, he exits, he finds another CA, and then he becomes a multimillionaire. Are we going to regret? Yes. Firstly, we are at fault because we are not supposed to leave our clients like this. Secondly, if he becomes a multimillionaire, you are not a CA anymore because you did not exercise calm. We are the only profession where we think our clients should progress. So they will come to us for tax planning, right? So we are already thinking long term that our client is going to progress. So resilience along with perspective is very important. Think from a long term perspective. Now, I would come back to resilience again because when you bounce back from adversity or from mistakes, always bounce back with grace. Some soft corner for articles because I've been one of the article. So, whenever an article has committed a mistake, even then, please treat them with grace. Because it happens that we have committed or the other person have committed, we still take it ahead and move forward. And the last one is be fully present. This is very, very important. Now, mobile phone. Mobile phone is something we always have with us in our hand. Now, if you're scrolling through your phone, I'm going to take this in my hand. If I'm scrolling and my article or my junior comes in, okay, this is done. I say, and I keep scrolling. Am I fully present? No. Something is missed, and then I go back to him or her saying, why was this not done? He will tell you, I told you. You said you acknowledged that it's okay. So what has happened here? Because we were involved somewhere else, we have missed something important. So being fully present is very important. Even when you're thinking negatively, be fully present. Don't go here and there because you have only 5 minutes. Be fully present, think fully, and then move out of it. If you feel you have been doing back to back works, you have back to back meetings, take a break. Cherish that break. Then come back fully energized. Okay. Now, what are the tools to captivate positivity? First one is stress journaling. I am not really sure how this particular audience is comfortable with journaling, but according to me, when you are able to write down your problem, you are supposed to solve your problem. Your chances of solving that problem is higher by 50 to 60%. First, you write it in a paragraph, then you try to break it. What is it? And then you identify, which we did at the beginning. Okay, the problem is solvable, not solvable. If solvable, what needs to be done, etc., etc. So, stress journaling is important. If you don't want anyone to read what you are writing, you can keep a post-it with you. Write on it. If it is solved, scribble it, throw it. Nobody is going to read. But you need to journal out somewhere. That is definitely going to release you of your anxiety. Next is connecting with your peers. Now, the power of networking. Networking is not optional in today's world, it is essential. You need to network. If you don't network, you will not be able to stand in a crowd where you have knowledge about latest developments or what is happening in your own industry. You get to know a lot of things. You get to know a different way of solving similar kind of problems which you have in your office itself. Possible. Post COVID, it has happened that virtual programs are happening. We are bound to attend them. This one also being virtual, it is good. But also ensure you attend some offline programs too. Why do I stress on offline programs? I'll give you an example. If someone recommends you a restaurant, are you going to rely on that, or are you going to rely on a random Instagram ad that this restaurant would be good? Instagram, we know that influencers are being paid and we will be able to see the restaurant. But if someone has recommended you, the word of mouth marketing is still more impactful as compared to social media marketing. When there is a word of mouth reference, definitely it would make an impact. Now when I say connecting with your peers, all of them in practice have different niche areas. When you are connecting, you get to know who is specialized in which field. You can sometimes refer to your client if they need advisory on that particular area. Now because we are online, we are just seeing the faces, the virtual faces on the screen. If this was an offline session, we would have, some of you would have already connected and exchanged phone numbers. Okay, I will connect. AICA being launched, AI into, you'll get to hear a lot of things about AI. You'll get to know that there are many CAs who have implemented wonderful models and they are using it into practice. They are using it tremendously into practice. Then why not? So make sure you connect with your peers offline too. Online is still valid. Preeti ma'am, please forgive me if I'm talking about offline seminars more, but I say that along with virtual, do make it a point to attend offline seminars or offline sessions or webinars, whatever it is. Okay. So that's it for the CAs in practice. Let's captivate positivity. So the client thinks highly of us. He refers to us at different places and we grow along with the client. Next spectrum, my spectrum, our spectrum, CAs in industry, lot of problems. You talk to a CA who is working in an industry. These three would be there, the ones that are listed on the screen. Hierarchies, performance pressures, shifting expectations. One I have not written here, politics. Okay, so this is something which comes up the moment you have performed well, or you feel that okay, I've been up to the mark. The expectation itself changes. Now something else is expected from you. Experienced some kind of a thing like that? Okay, it happens. What to do? Learn learn and it comes from experience. How to do that? Now let me give you an example. If two friends, they join the same company, two different teams. One is leaving on time, one is slogging. Now, there could be different reasons. One could be the grasping capacity of those two friends is different. One is able to pick up easily, the other one takes time. Second reason could be the first friend, his manager is not workaholic, he's concerned with work, he goes away. And the other one, his manager is workaholic, so he expects people to be there with him and work. Possible? If there are people from industry who are in this session, they would be able to resonate with me. What to do in such situations? Develop emotional intelligence. Don't get irritated, don't get frustrated. Listen more, talk less, and observe the pattern. If you attend any program, you would see there are different types of leadership styles. Understand what your leader is up to. Even if you want to confront your manager, saying that I am not happy with this particular way of working, etc., etc., there is a way to do it. You need to balance your words. You need to develop that emotional intelligence before you reach out to that person. And the last one is be mentally flexible. Now, being mentally flexible, again, I refer to the 5-minute rule. I'll quote an example here. Whenever you join a corporate, when you start drafting emails, when you are sending emails, you are taught that if a harsh email comes in, don't reply immediately. Wait, pause, think, and then reply. Why? Because if you're replying immediately, 90% of the times you are reacting, and then you're going to regret that the tone of my email was not good. Whereas if you take that 5 minute, apply that 5-minute rule, take that mindful break, and then reply. So here what you're doing, you are not reacting. What are you doing? You are responding. So there's a line between reacting and responding. We have to be in the other zone. We need to respond. So again, for responding, you need to be mentally flexible. Now you can also escalate where your manager is a workaholic, but I'm not sure it is organization specific as to how much escalation matrix works. But yes, confronting, talking to that person and observing their pattern is definitely going to help you. Now this slide is very important. Can you see the hierarchy here? So, it's not an exact hierarchy, but a high level hierarchy which shows which exists in any organization. Can you find the word leader here in this image? Let's see. Can't find?
Word leader.
You can't find the word leader?
No.
No. Why can't we? Who is a leader? A leader is someone who has the ability to influence. Can a leader and a manager be the same always? Possible? No.
No.
They can't be the same, okay, because everyone has a different experience. They can't be the same. So what does a leader does? It influence, it has the ability to influence you. It is going to guide you. Now I'll share a story. It's about me. Back in 2019, I was enrolled on a personal development program and we were assigned mentors. Weekly catch ups, the mentor understands how I think and how I resonate to his questions. After 2 weeks, he got to know that I crave for promotion. So then he explained me with an example that if you are working in a group of 10 people, out of that 10 people, if there are even two people whom you can influence, you have already succeeded. So promotion is only which would come on a paper later, but you have already succeeded. You would have seen many a times when conflicts arise, it is only that person who is able to influence others is called upon to resolve that conflict. They will not always call the manager, okay, come and resolve the conflict, no, but a leader will always be called. So if you are working in a team and if there is a problem and they discuss and say xyz person would have a solution for it, and if xyz is that person, you have already succeeded. Promotion will come whenever the time is, but you have already succeeded. A leader, the designation a leader is very important as compared to what we have on this chart here. Why? Because only when you are able to here you are able to influence. You are not influencing people at these stages. They are your employees, they are following your orders. I am not saying not a single one could be a leader. There could be leaders. There could be leader here also. There could be here also. It could be here also. It depends. But your ability to influence someone, only then it makes you a leader. So any one of you who are in the industry and you feel that you are not getting promoted because of politics or everything, work on developing this skill. It pays you in the long run. How it pays you, I will show you in the next slide. Chinese bamboo tree. I'll not read this. I'll just explain this in short. It takes 5 years to grow. First, it will develop its roots at the base. It will keep on developing. Once it is fully grown, it will take only 6 weeks to shoot 90 feet. What does it mean? He was not working here, the bamboo tree. It was working. He did not get any promotions here. He got it here directly. So what happens here? Every experience, every type of manager you deal with, every type of politics you deal with in your organization, learn from it. Learn mindfully from it and then flourish like this bamboo tree who is going to expand. And people, your what do you I say, your transformation is going to be exponential and magnificent if you are on that path already. Nobody can stop you because your ability to influence is extremely powerful. Now how does that happen? Only if you have a positive mindset. Now if you are a negative person, is anybody ever going to come to you? They come to you with their problems and you say, no, it has to be like that. It is going to be like that. You can't change anything. Nobody is going to come to you because that's the same pain they are suffering from. Why are they going to come to you? They would come to you only when they know, okay, this person can show me a different perspective, which I am not able to see. And he can be the guiding light for me. An emotion which nobody is ready to accept: jealousy. True. We are humans. It's possible. I apply the 5 minute rule everywhere. Here also, you can apply the 5 minute rule. If you're feeling jealous, okay, feel that jealousy fully. But after that, uh, don't let that emotion derive your decisions, because then your integrity takes a hit somewhere. You are not ethical. Not touching base a lot on this, but just be aware of it, because your mental peace is hampered if you know that you've done something which is not ethical. Okay, my favorite section: CAs who are homemakers. Because I tell you, it takes a lot of guts to leave your career and take an altogether different path. It's very difficult, because some people, they have already reached at a particular stage, but just because of pregnancy or child care or any other family reasons, they are supposed to quit and be homemakers. No, what does that homemaker? Why are they not recognized? Because they are not on LinkedIn? Is it that? Because their contribution is invisible. You cannot you cannot see their contribution. It's not visible. But the impact which they make on our lives is life transforming. All of you would agree with me. Your upbringing plays a crucial part in your thought process. So CAs as homemaker, do you really think that if a CA becomes a homemaker, they are just going to do household chores and they would exit? No, they are going to develop everything. Financially, also using their knowledge, also they are going to nurture. We have been nurtured by our parents, so we know how difficult it is to be a homemaker. Some of them, they would nurture, they would fix everything, and after a particular period of time, they would even come back into practice or into industry, but they will still be ready to work. They are very good financial planners. Even if they are not working, they are still CAs at heart. So they know to balance everything, what needs to be balanced, how it needs to be done, so it can be done in a better way. Now, what are the opportunities for homemakers? So there is a portal for ICAI where you have job opportunities for women CAs. Then in organizations or the industry, we have Career 2.0. And the last image, it says that the homemakers have decided that they want to either practice or want to join an organization or want to go into teaching, etc., etc. A very beautiful slide. What is this? A lighthouse. What does the lighthouse do? Does it chase the ships? Ships are going in the sea. They are going. Does it chase? No, it's standing there. It's giving light. That is what CAs as homemakers are doing. They are guiding, they are mentoring, they are that lighthouse who is standing still. But if that lighthouse is not there, it'll be fully dark. There's only darkness there. Moving ahead, tools to captivate positivity. Choose the lens. This is very interesting. Let me see how much time we have. Okay, 6 minutes. I need to take this little quick. Choose the lens. Now I'll tell you a story. There was a kid who was wearing spectacles. Mom, this water is yellow. I don't want to drink. His mom gives him milk. No, no, this is yellow. I can't drink. His mom gives him bread. This is stale. This is yellow. She's fed up now. She takes his spectacles, cleans the lens, and gives it back to him. Now he is fine with everything. The lens is clean. Everything is good. We need to clean the lens of negativity. We need to wipe that negativity off so that we can see the positive behind every situation. Moving ahead, this one is my favorite: Broken Bridge and the Builder. I think some of you would have heard this story. There was a bridge which was broken. People left and they took the alternative route to reach there. There was this engineer who stayed, who invested time, and who built this bridge. After a few days, he took few days to build it. Then someone asked me, "Are you going to use this bridge?" He said, "No, but someone else is going to use it." Then why did you build it? He says, because it would be helpful to someone else. What are we doing as chartered accountants? We are building personal balance sheet, financial balance sheets. We are building their portfolio so strong that they are stable from a long term perspective. When we can build this so efficiently, can't we build our mindset for positivity? If we are so good at managing portfolios, so good at developing that balance sheet, which would be helpful, कोई भी notice आने दो, it is going to be बोलते ना, it is going to be there. You will not face any problems. Why can't we bring that situation to us? कोई भी problem आने दो, my mindset is going to stay strong. That is what broken bridge and the builder tells us. What's your legacy? When I say legacy, this one is my favorite. Okay, we think highly of this person. He did not leave profits, but we get inspired by this person so often. So then we should also think what could be the legacy which we can build. It need not be grand, but we can still build legacy. You can mentor someone, you can conduct a knowledge sharing session, you can guide someone. Now the PM says our signature is important more than his signature. So first signature we are signing balance sheets. Second signature should be signature of wisdom and warmth. So people remember us not just as CAs, but more than CAs. And this one, someone will have to read me who is reading the chats there. One positive habit you will start tomorrow. I would want it quick because we have only 3 minutes. Because I would want to grab one positive habit from that chat, which I can implement. So I've put 2 years journaling and mindful breathing or meditation for 5 minutes. But anything else, the moderators can give me the chat later. Can't hear you, Amruta.
Keeping calm.
Keeping calm. Yes, thank you. That is very important. We will become that builder and we'll keep calm. And some magical spells because I am a Harry Potter fan. So I'm not going to read it, but I am just going to put that slide for you. Out of this, the most important for me is capitalize on kindness. Be kind, guys. It's very important. Whether you're dealing with a CA, whether you're dealing with a non-CA, anyone, you have to be kind because your kindness is going to take you ahead. I hope all of you have read this. So it's not the wand that is going to create magic, but your positivity that will create magic wherever you go. That is it from me. Thank you, everyone.
Now, ma'am has covered the topic. Are there any questions? As of now, there are no questions in chat box.
Okay, we have 1 minute. We can wait.
Okay, yes. Actually, we have covered it so nicely, ma'am. So that there is no questions at all.
Wow, that's good news. No problem. Okay, all right. Thank you, everyone. Try to captivate positivity everywhere you go. Try to create that aura. Thanks. Bye.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Thank you, CA Hema Jain, ma'am, uh, for your today's wonderful session. This session was truly needed in this season, full of compliances and interactions with clients and articles. Especially, there are lots of changes are there in this year filing process. So, on behalf of Women and Young Members Excellence Committee, we sincerely appreciate your time and valuable guidance. With this, we conclude today's session, carrying forward the positivity and purpose you shared. Thank you for
And thank you to all the session organizers and moderators. This would not have been possible because of you looking through the chats and responding back accordingly.
thank you. Thank you. Yes.